17. Why there should be bigger game awards. YouTube script. What if I told you that the biggest entertainment industry in the world doesn't get the recognition it deserves? And no, I'm not talking about some underground scene. I'm talking about gaming, an industry that's worth more than movies and music combined. Yet somehow, we're stuck with award shows that feel more like after parties than the main event. Stick around because I'm going to reveal some shocking numbers that'll make you question everything, plus some hints about what might be coming that could change the game forever. Let's talk numbers, because this is where it gets wild. The global gaming industry is worth over $180 billion. Now, compare that to Hollywood's box office, which pulls in around $100 billion, and the music industry at roughly $26 billion. Do the math. Gaming isn't just winning, it's dominating by a landslide. So why are the Oscars broadcast on a BC to millions of viewers, with A-list celebrities walking red carpets that shut down entire streets, while the Game Awards airs primarily on Twitch and YouTube? Why does the Grammys get a primetime slot with performances that trend worldwide, but gaming's biggest night feels more like an elaborate live stream than a cultural phenomenon? But here's where it gets interesting, and I'll come back to this later because there are some whispers suggesting this might actually change sooner than we think. Here's the thing. We do have Game Awards. The Game Awards, hosted by Jeff Keighley, has been doing incredible work since 2014. We've got the DICE Awards, the BAFTA Game Awards, and even the Golden Joystick Awards. But let me ask you something. When was the last time your parents, or your non-gamer friends, talked about the Game Awards the way they discuss Oscar nominations? The Oscars has been running since 1929, the Grammy since 1959, the Emmy since 1949. These institutions have had decades to cement themselves into popular culture. They're not just award shows anymore. They're cultural events. Everyone has an opinion on who got snubbed. Everyone has their predictions. Your grandmother probably has takes on the Best Picture race. Gaming awards. Most people outside our community don't even know they exist, and the ones that do often see them as industry events rather than mainstream entertainment spectacles. But why? The content being celebrated is just as artistic, just as impactful, and reaching far more people globally. Here's something I found that might hint at change, but I'm saving the juicy details for later because this could be huge. Let's talk about legitimacy for a second. When a movie wins Best Picture, it's career-defining. When an artist wins Album of the Year, it's immortalized in their legacy. When a game wins Game of the Year, it's amazing for the studio, sure, but the cultural weight just isn't the same yet. And this matters because games are creating cultural moments that rival anything in film or music. The Last of Us Part 2 sparked debates about storytelling that went beyond gaming forums. Elden Ring brought millions together and shared experiences of triumph and defeat. Baldur's Gate 3 proved that RPGs could capture mainstream attention in ways we hadn't seen in years. These aren't just games. They're artistic achievements, technical marvels, and cultural touchstones. Yet the industry that creates them is still fighting for a seat at the table of serious entertainment awards. But what if I told you that certain major networks have been in quiet discussions about exactly this problem? I'll get to that revelation in a bit. So don't click away. Let's imagine for a second what a truly prestigious Game Awards ceremony could look like. Picture this: a red carpet where developers are treated like the rock stars they are. Hideo Kojima arriving in style, not as a special guest, but as a nominated legend. Amy Hennig finally getting the recognition she deserves on a stage that matches the grandeur of the Academy Awards. Imagine category reveals with the same tension as Best Picture. Imagine live orchestra performances of game soundtracks that have moved millions. Imagine celebrity presenters who actually play and love games, not just reading off a teleprompter about an industry they don't understand. The Game Awards has been moving in this direction, and massive respect to Jeff Keighley for his vision, but it's still not at the scale it deserves. The show crams in world premieres and game announcements, which is exciting, but it sometimes feels more like an extended press conference than an award ceremony. The actual awards can feel rushed, with winners getting 30 seconds before we cut to the next CGI trailer. What gaming needs is an event where the awards are the main attraction, and the industry is celebrated with the same reverence as the Oscars celebrate cinema. And here's where those hints I mentioned come in. Okay? So here's where things get speculative but intriguing. Over the past year, there have been quiet murmurs in industry circles about potential expansion. I'm not talking about adding more categories to existing shows. I'm talking about legitimate interest from major broadcasting networks in creating or backing a premium gaming award ceremony. Sources close to several major publishers have hinted that discussions are happening behind closed doors about positioning gaming awards as appointment television, not just streaming content. We're talking about the kind of production value and mainstream positioning that could genuinely rival the Oscars. Now, nothing's confirmed, and this could all be wishful thinking or stalled negotiations. But the fact that these conversations are even happening shows that people with power and money are starting to recognize what we've known all along. Gaming deserves better. There's also been increasing pressure from major studios, who invest hundreds of millions in games to see their work celebrated on bigger stages. When Rockstar spends 8 years and $200 plus million on a title, they want the cultural recognition that matches that investment. So why hasn't this happened yet? Well, there's resistance from multiple angles. First, there's the old guard who still doesn't see games as real art. Yes, that debate is still happening in some circles. As ridiculous as that sounds in 2025, these are the same people who didn't take film seriously in its early days or dismissed rock and roll as noise. Second, there's a question of format. Games are interactive experiences, which makes them harder to showcase in a traditional awards format. You can play a movie clip or a song, but how do you quickly convey the brilliance of a 100-hour RPG's narrative arc, or the precise game feel of a platformer? Third, and this is important, there's concern about alienating the core gaming audience. Gamers are protective of their culture, and rightfully so. There's legitimate fear that mainstreaming game awards could water them down, make them too corporate, or turn them into exactly the kind of out-of-touch spectacle that we criticize the Oscars for becoming. These are valid concerns, but they're not insurmountable. Here's what a bigger, better game awards could actually look like while respecting the medium and the community. Multiple ceremonies. Just like film has the Oscars, Golden Globes, SAG Awards, and more, gaming could have different prestigious ceremonies focusing on different aspects. One for artistic achievement and narrative, one for technical innovation, one for indie excellence, one for sports and competitive gaming. Separate the announcements from the awards. Have a dedicated showcase event for world premieres and trailers, and a separate, prestige-focused ceremony for honoring the year's achievements. Get broadcast network partnerships that bring production value without sacrificing authenticity. Hire hosts who understand gaming. Invite celebrities who are genuine gamers, not just faces reading scripts. Create voting bodies that include developers, critics, and players. Make it transparent. Make it credible. Most importantly, make the awards the focus, not an afterthought between trailers. Not a quick speedrun to get to the next announcement. A genuine celebration of achievement. Gaming is too big, too influential, and too culturally important to be treated as the entertainment industry's younger sibling anymore. We've earned our seat at the table. We've earned our red carpets and our primetime broadcasts and our mainstream recognition. The question isn't whether gaming deserves bigger awards. The question is how long will it take for the rest of the world to catch up to what we already know. If you agree that gaming deserves better, drop a comment below. And if you've got thoughts on what the perfect game award ceremony would look like, I want to hear them. This is Meta Grounds, and I'll see you in the next one.